Hello everyone, this is April, a PhD student from University of Michigan. Today I am presenting Callisto, capturing the why by connecting conversations with computational narratives. This is a joint work with Zihan Wu and my advisors Chris Brooks and Steve Oney. Data scientists benefit from collaborations to leverage expertise from each other and to improve the efficiency of their work. Computational notebooks are powerful tools for collaborative data science because they allow data scientists to document and replicate the exploration process through the creation of computational narratives, documents that combine code, explanatory text, and intermediate output. New tools like Deep Note and Google Colab enable data science teams to work in the same notebook in real time, creating new possibilities for collaboration. At the same time, they introduce new challenges. Imagine this scenario. Alice and Bob joined the shared notebook and decided to explore outliers together. Bob edited his analysis in cell number 10, while Alice edited her analysis in cell number 11. After discussing, they agreed to use Alice's code and move on to the next step. But they did not remove the draft cell created by Bob, neither added any explanations. 2 days later, another colleague Charlie joined the shared notebook. Charlie soon got lost in the messy notebook where there are unclear code, random variable names, useless documentation, and ambiguous cell orders. Due to the exploratory nature of the work, data scientists frequently write draft code to experiment, explore, and test hypotheses. Thus, it is difficult for them to maintain an updated explanation and a clean notebook during the exploration process. When the problem gets complex, data scientists tend to write lower quality code, leave documentation incomplete, change the execution order, or accidentally overwrite important analysis while iterating on different ideas. These tensions can be amplified in a collaborative setting where it is important to keep a shared understanding of past design decisions across team members. Effective communication between data science team members is crucial for productive teamwork. Data science teams often have rich team discussions through communication channels such as email, instant messenger, and face-to-face meetings. These discussions can provide valuable context about notebook authors' goals and design rationales. Now, Charlie decides to check previous chat histories on Slack to find some clues. However, these discussions are very long and disconnected from the computational notebook. For example, Charlie found a relevant message saying there is a bug in the second cell, but he did not know what the second cell was by the time that the message was sent. Team members typically need to have a shared context to make sense of the discussion. This can be particularly challenging as the notebook evolves. In this paper, we propose to improve collaborative data science by connecting discussions with computational notebooks. To better understand how discussions can be useful for explaining the data exploration process, we analyzed the chat messages collected from 3 data science group projects. In total, we collected 760 chat messages to better understand their purpose, their relationship to the evolving notebook, and specific aspects of the notebook they mention. We summarized 5 purpose categories. These categories show that chat messages can help explain the data exploration process, describe the purpose of the code, and provide a high-level interpretation of the results. Not surprisingly, however, there is also an additional 30% of messages as out of scope because they did not convey useful information or explaining the exploration process. Next, we analyzed the relevance between messages, the notebook history, and the final notebook. Overall, we find that the final notebook is generally not reflective of the whole exploration process. Messages between collaborators can fill in missing details of the exploration process. These messages are particularly helpful for new collaborators to avoid duplication of work. Lastly, we investigated the granularity of the notebook elements that collaborators referred to. We find messages related to a specific line of code, the output of a cell, or messages describing high-level ideas implemented across multiple cells. In summary, we derived 3 design implications from our findings. Chat messages are useful for explaining the exploration process, but they are difficult to follow. Notebook elements are frequently referred to in chat messages. We designed Callisto, a plugin for Jupyter Notebook. Callisto augments Jupyter with several collaborative features. First, it allows users to share notebooks, collaborate in real time, and discuss with collaborators. Callisto adds a share button that generates a unique URL for collaborators to join the share notebook session. Users can see a panel listing all the collaborators. Callisto synchronizes edits, runtime variables, outputs, annotations, and cursors among collaborators. Jupyter doesn't have built-in messaging features. To capture discussions, Callisto embeds a synchronous chat panel directly in the shared notebook. On the left side, Callisto includes a panel showing users' edit histories to provide awareness of collaborators' activities. After introducing the basic collaboration features of Callisto, let's take a look at how Callisto captures the connections between messages and notebook content. First, users can make direct references to notebook elements in their chat messages by clicking the magic wand and then selecting the relevant notebook element. Callisto enables 5 types of references: code references, cell references, annotation references, snapshot references which point to a previous notebook version, and diff references which point to a comparison between 2 history versions. Now that we are able to capture the connections through explicit references created by users, what about other messages that do not have explicit references? When users send a message, it is likely to be relevant to the currently selected cell. Thus, Callisto automatically attaches a cell reference to the current selected cell if users do not add an explicit reference. Users can also manually correct errors from automatic references. Now that we have created connections between messages and notebook content, how can we use this connection? Callisto enables 2 broad uses for these connections: to understand the context of a given message, or to find the part of the discussion that is relevant to a specific part of the notebook. The connection from messages to the notebook content demonstrates what changes were made. When a user clicks on the reference, Callisto highlights the relevant elements in the notebook and scrolls to them if necessary. Similarly, when a user clicks on the message, Callisto highlights the relevant cell in current notebook. Messages might become out of date if they reference an element of the notebook that is later modified or deleted. Callisto allows users to view the snapshot of the notebook when the message was sent. In some cases, users may want to understand what collaborators were doing between messages. When selecting 2 messages, Callisto can navigate users to diff view comparing 2 snapshots. In diff view, code differences and output differences are highlighted. For the other way around, the connection from notebook content to messages explains why changes were made. Callisto allows users to see which parts of the discussion are relevant for a particular part of the notebook. Users can enable the filter mode to only see messages and edits relevant to the selected cell. To assess how Callisto assists new collaborators when joining the collaborative notebook, we designed a 2-stage evaluation study. We first observed the participants working in pairs on the data science task in real time to test Callisto's usability. We then conducted a comparison study with a third individual joining the shared project using Callisto or a light version of the system with no contextual links. In Stage 1, we observed that participants are hesitant to make accurate and polished references. On average, each group created around 7 messages that contains references out of 100 messages, and most of them are the default cell pointers. Participants gave a variety of reasons. For example, one participant mentioned that the ability to check their collaborator's cursor served the same function as a pointer when they were talking about the code cells in real time. With most connections are made by automatically inferred references, we manually went through the references and find that 92% are connected to the correct context. In Stage 2, we evaluated how a new collaborator followed up with an ongoing collaborative project. We asked the participants to first explore the notebook and answer 5 questions related to the prior analysis. Then we asked them to use the tool in depth to follow up on the ongoing project. We designed the collaboration assets by merging and modifying the assets produced in Stage 1. We compared the 2 versions of Callisto in this stage, the full version and the light version, where we replaced the manual references with a textured description. We find that participants in the experiment condition understood the ongoing collaboration process better. Participants in both conditions reported a need to check the chat messages even though the notebook already contained some code comments and exploratory texts. Comparatively, participants in the control condition have trouble following the chat messages. Participants in the experiment condition benefit from the established connection between messages and notebook. Most of them kept the filtering mode enabled and went back and forth to check the context of messages. They also used the diff view to better understand how a code change resulted in an output change. For example, participants in the experiment condition were more aware of relevant message. The result looks much better that are connected to the cell. Some participants selected this message and the previous message to generate a diff view. They were able to see that prior collaborators applied a log transformation, which made the distribution plot look less skewed. Now, reflecting on Callisto's design, we discuss how future tool builders and researchers can build on our work. Reducing the burden of communication. As we saw from the evaluation, participants were hesitant to make polished references. Future work should consider optimizing this process by designing shortcuts or providing suggested references inferred by edits in the notebook. In addition, we believe similar techniques could work in other domains where remote collaborators co-design a shared artifact that changes over time, as long as the reference types are domain appropriate. Improving the accuracy of contextual links. As most of the messages relied on inferred references, we believe that it is important to explore ways to further improve the accuracy of the inferred references. Towards generating meta-narratives, new collaborators not only need to understand the computational narrative itself, but also how that narrative evolved. We describe this as the meta-narrative behind the narrative. Callisto is a representation of meta-narrative for computational notebooks. Future research could explore alternative representations of meta-narratives for a variety of domains. In summary, our paper contributes the design of Callisto with a set of features to make chat messages more useful for understanding the past exploration process in the notebook. Our evaluation provides evidence that creating mappings between messages, notebook elements, and versions helps data scientists understand and follow up on the exploration pipeline.